Good afternoon, everybody. It was lovely to see so many of you, particularly as things are getting late on in Digifest, but you're all looking full of energy, full of beans, so thank you very much for coming to this session. I think we probably have the largest panel of the event for you today. My name's Chris Thompson. I work for Jisc's advice team, looking at digital practice. I'm going to be hosting today. Quick bit of housekeeping. Warm welcome to everybody in the room, but of course, warm welcome if you're joining us online as well. There will be people out there. I'll be running through a few questions with our panel, and then we'll be handing over to you guys. So as you're having a listen to what people are saying around this whole issue that we're going to explore, if you want to ask questions, then that's all done through the Slido app on your mobile devices. And I will do my best to get through as many of those as we possibly can. So get your thinking caps on as we kind of go through this. It's a good opportunity to talk to our assembled panel on this. Okay, let me set the scene a little bit. A little while ago, my team and I, we went around various learning and teaching forums within further education particularly, asking the question, what are you looking forward to in the next year? What's keeping you awake at night? And one of the interesting things we found was that consistently with the different groups, the thing that was kind of keeping people awake at night, or the thing they wish would be better within their organization, was the way that different teams cooperated and collaborated with each other within their organization. Particularly, it was about the relationship between IT and teaching and learning. It seemed to be an area that exhibited the most kind of tension, or the largest number of issues that people wanted help solving. So that's kind of where this all began. And we've been doing a bit of work running focus groups and interviews, asking some more kind of in-depth questions, and hopefully over the next few months we'll be able to synthesize all those down and produce some guidance and some support for organizations around that. But we thought Digifest was too good an opportunity to miss. So we have assembled a crack team of double acts for you here today to talk about the experience of collaborating and cooperating to achieve digital transformation within their organizations. And I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, and we're going to do it in order, just so that you kind of know where the pairs are. So what I'll ask you is, what's your name, what's your role, what's your organization? But I've also asked them to come up with a one-word answer to when you're collaborating effectively with a colleague within your organization in a different team, what's that like? How does it feel? That sort of thing. So we will start at the far end. I think you should be mic'd up, so off you go.
Thanks, Chris. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andrew Dewhurst. I'm a Vice Principal at East Lancashire Learning Group. ELLG is made up of Nelson and Cone College, Accrington and Rosendale College, and Lancashire Adult Learning. My areas of responsibility are partnerships and engagements with the approximately 1,000 employers and partners we work with, all the way through co-creation, co-delivery, through to partnerships for community learning. But more pertinent to today, I'm Chief Information Officer for the group, so responsible for digital strategy, IT, and the delivery of that for our staff, for our learners, and across our classrooms. My one word for the day is synergy.
Nice. Excellent. Thank you very much, Andrew.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sue Smith, and I'm the Director of Innovation, Learning and Development. My responsibilities are linked to development of teachers and all support staff across the organisation. The e-learning team sits with me, but responsible for the development of digital skills for all staff. Thank you.
And what's your word, Sue?
And my one word is ownership.
Nice. Thank you very much. Synergy and ownership. Moving on.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nazli. So I work at Capital City College Group. And at Capital City, I'm the head of innovation. So what we really do is I lead the AI strategy and the digital strategy across the group. And that really involves kind of leading large and complex, I would say, digital transformation projects. So one thing that we've been currently doing is kind of thinking about our VLE infrastructure and thinking about moving and integrating that. But I work closely with the team, and what we really do is really think about staff and capability around digital tools, but really also work with IT to really maintain our infrastructure and to ensure that the technology we have really works and delivers for students and teachers. The one word I'm going to use today is seamless. I think seamless is going to sum up what it's all about for me.
Thank you, Nestle.
My name's Wendy. I work at Capital City College with Nestle. And part of my role as a teaching skills advisor is really to work with curriculum and IT and any other groups that I need to work with in order to try and make it a bit smoother between what's happening in the classrooms and what's happening in the background as well, behind the scenes. And I'm a VLE admin as well.
And what's your word?
My word is empowering.
Ooh,
Yeah.
powerful. Thank you. Moving on.
Hi everyone, my name's Jonathan. I'm from Hills Road Sixth Form College in Cambridge. We're a 3,000 strong student body, A-level only. My role is Director of Digital Strategy. I've come up through the curriculum, but I've had a kind of cross over into the world of IT and roles since about 1997, I think. I lead on the student and staff experience, AI, and my word is laughter, not the hysterical kind, but the actual, as a signal that people can work together and enjoy working together.
Marvellous. Thank you.
I'm Tim Hallis. I also work at Hills Road Sixth Form College. I am the head of digital pedagogy. So my role is working mostly with teachers to support them in embedding good pedagogical practice when using technology. My word is straightforward.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, we were slightly worried before we got up here that some people would choose the same word as each other, and what would we do in that case? But that didn't transpire. So that worked out well. That's a good bit of collaboration and cooperation. So let me start with a general question about digital transformation. Now, digital transformation as a process, as an activity, is something which is naturally collaborative. It sort of involves lots of people from different backgrounds, different disciplines, and so on. Why do you think it is that this sort of inter-organizational collaboration is something that is a challenge across the sector? Why is it that people encounter barriers, encounter challenges with it? Where does that come from? I'm going to start with our Hills Road colleagues. So I don't know which one of you would like to step in.
I think it's about understanding, and we're quite lucky at Hills Road in that our IT team and our teachers seem to get on quite well. But it's even so, there is still a level of making sure that the IT teams understand what the teachers are actually trying to do and achieve within their classrooms, and getting teachers to understand that IT is not the golden goose and doesn't always do everything that they want it to. We were in a session yesterday and someone showed that kind of graph of enthusiasm, disappointment, and then
The Gartner hype cycle, yes.
Yeah, and actually it's trying to get everybody into that final area of productivity. When they realize it doesn't do everything, they're over that and then start using it what it's for. But it's understanding between the different departments what everybody's trying to achieve.
Yeah, I'd like to add something to that, because I line manage IT services in the college, and I'm acutely aware over and over again that actually IT services staff have got a huge responsibility for the underlying infrastructure. It's complex, and it's also got to be 100% uptime. It's always got to work, and invisible. And that is a core problem, I think, in terms of how these teams work together, because often the dialogue is framed around things not working. And if they are working, no one cares. And I think that is, overcome a little bit, by actually making a point of celebrating the good things that IT services do and drawing attention to it. That's something that we try to do in our organisation.
Thanks both.
Yeah.
I'm going to back that over to our East Lancs colleagues. Who would like to take that one to begin with?
I mean, I think that sometimes collaboration doesn't work because the vision is unclear. So we need to ensure that there's clear aims and vision. that people understand their roles and responsibilities within that. But it's not just, you know, this is my role, this is your role, that we all take responsibility for kind of moving things forward. But also that there needs to be structured time set throughout the year when certain people meet together. And I think what happens is there is a vision, but there isn't that structured time throughout the year for people, the right people, to get in the room, to meet, to collaborate, to share information, but also to challenge as well.
Thanks, Sue. Andrew?
Yeah, I think adding to that, and perhaps starting at the sector level, you know, collaboration is all about people, and I'll come back to that perhaps in a second. But at a sector level, and we've got fantastic collaboration going on with, you know, sister colleges throughout the Northwest. But the hard fact is we also compete with each other. Yeah, so there's a commercial element which can be a blocker to collaboration at certain levels. So at a sector level, we've got pluses and minuses for collaboration. When you come within the organisation, we can have silos and we can have walls between our departments, which ultimately, if you're going to put somebody responsible for that, is a poor leadership issue. Let's put it where it deserves to be. But that can be broken down. And coming back to the people point, I think if you've got a common vision with nice people, collaboration's really easy. The rest of it follows.
Great. Thanks, Andrew. What about Capital City Groups? Who wants to take that one first? Nasli.
And then so I think at Capital City is a very large college, so sometimes we find that different departments, different people and different teams have different priorities, and they're racing against time as well to meet those priorities. So I think one thing that me and Wendy have been keen to do this year is really try to involve the different stakeholders in the discussions that we're having, so that they don't feel like they're outside the loop, that they're part of the discussion and that they're collaborating with us. So we've been doing lots of procurement work around getting new products, and we made sure that IT were involved in every stage of that process, so that we don't just go to IT when the product is there and we've bought it, but that they're really involved in the whole discussion. And I think that's really worked well in terms of getting that discussion and that collaboration going. But certainly at first, we did see each other as different teams, different priorities. And I think sometimes that does get in the way. So engineering lots of opportunities for discussion is really important for that collaborative work. So when we were thinking about the launch of our VLEs, we put in lots of different opportunities and lots of different ways in which we could have the same discussion. And we made sure that different teams were involved in that. And they were leading it. So we were not just leading those discussions. So I think that's one thing that I can add to this discussion. Wendy?
I'd say, I suppose, everyone has their own KPIs and things that they're dealing with and their own priorities. So I think it's really important to try and find a common ground where both parties can kind of meet together. And I think, you know, collaboration, trying to find ways to collaborate and work together, I think is really important. So I think the common ground.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's start to think about successes and sort of how you make this work. Now, you're all here because you've had success in your organizations at, you know, breaking down those silos, breaking down those barriers, and working collaboratively. And I wonder what that looks like. What is it that you've been able to achieve as a result of working like that? Now, I'm going to start with East Lancs for that. So,
Want to start with the strategy?
Sure, okay. So what's working? I think I'll take us back a few years to, we were at the beginning of putting together our new 5-year business strategy for the organisation, and the digital strategy is front and centre in that. So we're starting from a really strong strategic place where digital is underpinning, but also at the forefront of our whole business strategy. In terms of our purpose architecture, it's embedded into our staff purpose architecture as one of the foundational elements where we're inspired by digital. So moving on from that position and fleshing out our digital strategy, we have 7 strands within that. And I think crucially, as Chief Information Officer, what I'm most proud of over the last couple of years is that none of those 7 strands are led by me. They're led by other senior leaders in the organisation. So I chair the digital strategy, but our vice principals of curriculum, be it academic or vocational, our vice principals of finance and HR, people, our vice principals of marketing and others are the people driving and leading our digital strategy, which then speaks to and explains the success we're having in terms of engagement and collaboration.
Thank you. Well, Sue.
Yeah, and from that, you know, you're talking about every department has, you know, a focus, a digital focus, whether it's support, curriculum, and that is fed from the strategy. Every individual has a digital focus to develop, which is fed from kind of department, and there's training that kind of links into that. So I think the vision is really clear, but also, as I said before, the time given to enable us to carry out that vision is also set throughout the year as well.
Great. Thanks, guys. What about Capital City Group? What have you been able to achieve through collaboration that you've proud?
So I think one thing I can say is engagement. So one thing we've been really hot on is really engaging staff with the tools that we're using. And I think it's through the collaboration with IT teams that we were able to maintain and update our tools so that new features were available and that staff could use them confidently. So I think that's been a key achievement, engaging staff with that. We had an immersive room when I first took the role as head of innovation. We had an immersive room, but it was used as a meeting room rather than an immersive room. And I think I'm very proud to say that today it's being used as an immersive room and we have lots of content on there. But certainly without the collaboration from IT, certainly without updating those tools, we would not have been able to get to this point where people are engaging with it so actively and students are using it. So we converted a GCSE English paper into an immersive experience, and it's now almost being used as our revision strategy for GCSE students. And I'm very proud of that. So I think it's the engagement piece, the fact that we were able to engage teachers with the tools by collaborating with ICT.
Thank you. Hills Road.
So one of the biggest successes we've had was our BYOD rollout, which involved planning from the IT team, senior leadership, Jonathan and myself, exploring all the different elements and the impact that's going to be from sort of the financial implications on the college and the students, the infrastructure that we might need to then implement. So Jonathan led on kind of redoing the Wi-Fi and then actually training the staff, teaching staff in, okay, suddenly you're going to have a class full of laptops or iPads and it could be anything. How would you embed that into pedagogy? And it was a cross-college strategic thing that impacted so many different areas. And we're now in our 4th year of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've gone through 2 complete cycles of students now with devices, and we started, you know, it came out of the back end of COVID, but it was then actually what can we take that's going to be really strong from that and keep going forward with that rather than just reverting back.
Yeah. And I'll add to that as well, a big success in terms of how we've made that happen. It's often said it's just really important to get the right people in the room at any one point. But in 2023, we established a digital development team, which was 5 people strong. It's still running every 2 weeks for half an hour on a Friday. At the moment, it's Tim, myself, and also our deputy principal. And we bring in other people when we need to. But you know, it's worth reflecting that in that team, we've got the principalship as well. And actually, that's critical, you know, to have that as a key component of the work.
Great. Thank you very much, everybody. So I'm thinking about how you kind of turn, you know, how you achieve this, how you kind of, you've got this idea about kind of what good collaboration looks like. You've obviously managed to kind of get to a stage where it's happening. But if you were advising people or giving them guidance on how do you embed that kind of assumption that collaboration is going to happen at that strategic level, what does that look like? How do you do that? What challenges and barriers do you encounter that you need to address? I'm going to ask our colleagues from Capital.
Okay.
Wendy?
Yeah. I think one of the key things is communication, clear communication from the top down, and also having people that can take ideas and communicate back up as well. I think one of the things we do a lot of is finding out what's going on in the classrooms, what's going on, like what are the pinch points, what are the issues. So whatever we're doing, it's about not doing things to people. It's like hearing what are the problems, what are the issues, and then how can we work with them to make things better for them so they feel like they're part of that process and those conversations.
Great, thank you. Nasli?
One thing I can add is we've been working on the big project, which is about VLE integration, and we're very large, so we have multiple campuses, and we almost have any VLE you can think of at Capital City, and what we want to do is integrate into one platform. So that's been quite tricky to kind of lead that strategically. But one thing that has helped is we worked with Jisc to kind of do a focus group to really engage the stakeholders. And then we did lots of lots of consultation meetings. So I think that's been really important in terms of crystallizing what the strategy is for us, because ultimately we will all own it and it needs to work for all of us. But I think that constant dialogue has been really important for us.
Great, thank you. I've lost track. Who have we not spoken to? You guys. Sue and Andrew.
Okay, so collaboration doesn't work if you've not got good, solid, firm relationships built on respect and trust. Previously, we would say that the IT team would work, in silo, but through the strategy, through the regular meetings that we've had, we've been able to, really focus on moving things forward and developing really positive relationships. Positive relationships that will challenge, will support, but through those relationships and the respect and trust, that's the foundation to move things forward, really.
Thank you. Andrew?
Yeah, adding to that, I think if you get the digital strategy right in the first place, that can underpin collaboration across the organisation. And what I mean by that, if I look at the strands in our digital strategy, very much based on advice from Jisc and others, we've got governance in there, we've got staff experience, learner experience, we've got classroom experience, and we've got the IT foundational level. And it's important to differentiate between an IT strategy and a digital strategy. The IT strategy is the bottom bit. The rest of it is the collaboration and the making digital relevant to the organisation. If you get that right, it embeds collaboration into everything you're doing.
Great, thank you. The thing about strategy is it's quite high level, and a lot of effective collaboration, cooperation, co-working happens on that kind of day-to-day level where just people interact with each other. And I just kind of wonder how can you help to enable those kind of good day-to-day interactions when you're in positions of leadership or positions of influence, so that then sort of backs up the strategic approach that you've got. Who do I start with now? I'm going to start with our East Lancs colleagues again. Day-to-day.
It's the good relationships, really. It's working. I mean, it's really difficult to, I think, bottle it. I think we do keep going back to strategy, and you can say strategy is high level, but our strategy goes through department and individuals. So every individual has a my goal that links to what they're focusing on to develop. So it is clear at every level, and the training's clear. And we've worked hard at making sure that works, and through that allocated time and meeting regularly, things get done and things get moved forward. So I feel like I'm repeating myself a bit, but
that's all right. That's bad questioning on my part, I think. Absolutely.
I don't know if you can add to that.
I think embedding the collaboration, yes, it's CIO and leadership led, but taking that to our college leadership team in a wider sense is absolutely critical, and getting people on board and explaining what's in it for everybody. You know, why is this a benefit, not just another thing we have to do? So putting the business case forward is really important to getting people on board, and providing that advocacy and innovation and inspiration and tenacity to get that across in the long term. Close working relationships, we do keep coming back to it, and no apology necessary, because it underpins everything. If you've got that right vision and values in place, and by that I refer to our, you know, working together policies that are embedded into the college, and our purpose architecture, but with that, getting those day-to-day relationships with the e-learning teams, with the teachers, getting their trust and confidence. Doesn't happen overnight, but when it does, that's when you get the synergy and the serendipity.
Yeah, but it needs to be relevant as well.
How do you mean?
If you're trying to push something forward that isn't relevant and people don't see the benefit to them, it's not going to work. So it has to be relevant. So our departmental focuses are their departmental focus, and we have something called Just One Thing. So they're focusing on one thing for their department so they can really get it right, and it's quality. We're not saying you have to do these 20 things. This year we're focusing on this just one thing that we're going to get right and develop and improve.
Andrew, back again.
Yeah, just thinking about a practical example of that. When I joined the college 5-6 years ago, we were very much a IT classroom-centric way of teaching. So if you had a class that was timetabled that required IT, you'd have an IT classroom. So from a scheduling point of view and a timetabling point of view, it's a nightmare because it's a scarce, finite resource. So we've been able to transition over a number of years into a position where pretty much we've got universal access to IT. We're talking this morning about digital inclusivity, digital poverty and so on. And that's a hard-fought journey that we've been on there in terms of investment and gaining the confidence and giving curriculum colleagues the confidence that, you know, our aim is universal IT access. It works everywhere all the time, and it just does. It works mostly everywhere most of the time, which is, you know, we're pretty happy with that, but we can always improve. So once you've got confidence in that level of IT and digital, then you can talk. You know, we can really get into how can we make a difference in the classroom.
Great, thank you.
Just
Jonathan.
add something that, from our point of view, that a way of thinking about strategy going down to individual people as a more of a structural kind of idea. So you've got the whole college strategy. If you bump into someone in a corridor and ask them what it is, they'll look at you like, you know, they might know, but it's not something people carry close to their heart day to day. But it is vitally important. But in terms of the next layer, getting stuff onto agendas of sub-teams about delivering that strategy and making it operational is like another layer. And then another layer is the communication that happens around that. And then down at the bottom, you might get energized corridor conversations about the things that are coming out of that. And I think that if you've got good people on your teams, if they're prepared to energize that bottom layer, that is such a powerful way of making things happen. But people have got to see the sense of it, they've got to believe in it, that it's worthwhile. Otherwise, strategy becomes something quite dry and unconnected. And I think that's something we've been able to do very well, I think, at Hills Road.
Thank you. What about Capital? Any sort of lessons that you've learned about sort of getting those?
I think one of the really important things, as you said actually, is relationships. And sometimes it just makes sense just to go to the ICT department and just have a conversation with the people that are on the ground answering the tickets, have a conversation with the people leading them. And I think sometimes it's just having these conversations, understanding what they're dealing with, and then seeing it from the teaching and learning side as well. It just really helps to build relationships and trust, and then starting to respect like what each other are doing.
Great. great. Thank you very much. Just a reminder about sort of questions. If you've got any questions that you want to put to the panel, now's a good time to do it, as we sort of head towards our final set of questions. Just wanted to reflect on something. This is kind of open. This is free form, freestyle. One of the things that we were exploring over on the Community Hub a little bit yesterday was the idea of glue work, or people in glue roles. You know, there's people in organizations that, regardless of the role that they fulfill, or kind of how senior they are, they seem to be that sort of linchpin that sort of brings other people together and just kind of form that kind of natural bridging point. And I just kind of wonder, have you got experience of, I mean, is that something you kind of see as your role? But what is it that an organization can do to kind of properly foster that sort of informal kind of collaboration and cooperation, leadership by people that perhaps aren't in positions of leadership? Yeah, go on.
Whether it's officially my role or not, I feel it is partly my responsibility, because unlike, I suspect, most of the rest of this panel, most of my week is spent in the classroom teaching. And so when I'm in my responsibility role with sort of supporting teachers around pedagogy, I'm an equal. And I'm coming and bringing the kind of, okay, this is what we want to push with sort of, whether it be BYOD or the AI stuff that's, on the bingo cards of every session this week, like wherever that's coming from and whatever the kind of college is pushing, I am still viewed slightly as leadership, but they also know that I'm on the ground doing what they do most of my week. So I'm not viewed with complete
You're saying you've got more
disdain.
credibility, basically.
I mean, it's possible our bosses are watching this, so...
Hello at home if you are. Any other thoughts about those kind of glue roles? Just opening it up to the...
I would say I think part of my role is being the glue, and for myself personally, it's not about being an expert. I'm not an expert. I'm good at lots of things, but I'm not a tech expert at all. But one of the things is just about be able to come alongside people and just go and see them, sit with them, have a look at the problems, try and problem solve with them, and if you don't know the answer, find someone that does. But I think coming alongside is really important.
Thanks, Wendy. Any other thoughts?
I think one thing that I had to do as the head of innovation is obviously we think about what projects to lead. So one thing that me and Wendy worked on was AI modules. We decided to create in-house AI modules just to really teach staff and students around the ethics of AI and about responsible use. And we didn't want that just to sit within our team. So one thing I had to do was really to kind of connect with other teams to ensure that we kind of work on it together to make the project successful. So we had to work with IT, we had to work with HR to ensure that the modules obviously sat on the HR Moodle site so that staff could access it. And we had to work with the tutorial guidance managers just to ensure that the modules were part of the first 6 weeks, part of the student induction. And I think sometimes, for me, that glue work is about connecting all those people together and reminding them that actually the projects we're working on, what we're working on is important for all of us, and we need to take ownership together, and we need to make it successful. And actually, that did work well for us, because over 1,600 students completed the induction module. And if that was just me and Wendy driving that wasn't going to work that way. So I think part of that glue work is connecting and translating the kind of project to other teams and getting their collaboration as well.
It's working alongside people. I think, standing in people's shoes, not a done-to process, but working alongside people.
Thank you. All right, final question from me, or final scripted question anyway. We've been talking a lot about sort of addressing those tensions within organizations and helping to build success on the back of that. But I wonder, should we be trying to solve tension in organizations completely? Is there a positive role for a bit of constructive tension between different elements and different parts of an organization? Something that could be actually helpful for us. So I don't know. I'm going to start with Andrew and Sue on that one.
It's a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it can be a positive force. if framed in the right way. So we call it dynamic friction, tension. So it can be thought-provoking. It's challenge. It's agitating an issue, looking for solutions. It's challenging the status quo. It's competition internally, which can be a good thing, if done in a non-threatening way as part of in a safe environment. So it can be absolutely positive and necessary if done right.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, we don't know everything, you know, so we do need to be challenged by other departments that have their perspective. So yeah, it's positive. It's done it the right way.
Thank you. You guys?
Yeah, I think creative tension is a really powerful force of change. I agree with that. I think that people come to different issues with sometimes very different agendas, see a common cause from very different angles. But I think it's also important to remember that you've got to resource that dialogue. So if there is kind of tension and energy in the room, in order to build consensus, people have got to have time, and they've got to have some leadership to move to a point where the tension is creative rather than destructive, because it can be destructive as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts from across the room? Reasons why tension might be a powerful, positive force?
I think questions are good, isn't it? I think when people ask questions, sometimes it's things that you just might not have thought about that are just really obvious. And sometimes when you're involved in something, you don't always think about those important questions. So I think being asked questions and challenged can be a positive thing.
Great.
Yeah, I agree. I think it just gives you another perspective, one that you may not necessarily, maybe you thought about, but you don't really prioritize. So I think one thing that IT team normally reminds me when I'm trying to get a tool working, they remind me about the kind of the limits of what I can do. They always talk to me about safeguarding and where we can go and why we can't have a certain tool. And we do have that kind of tension there, but I think it's good because I take it from a pedagogical point of view and they look at it more from a safeguarding angle. But I think that's there to feed both of us and to offer a different perspective.
Great. Okay. We have a couple of questions from the floor, so thank you very much for that. Quick fire round then. What I'm looking for from each organization here. Somebody's asked, what are your top 3 tips to institutions who might be struggling with breaking down barriers and silos negatively impacting effective collaboration? So kind of narrow it down. I'm looking for one thing from each group. And of course, the person that goes first is probably going to find this easiest. So I'm going to go for Capital City College first. What do you think?
I would say start with projects where collaboration is quite natural and seamless. I go back to that word I said, where it feels a bit natural and the relationships are formed and you're collaborating effortlessly to lead a project that you think you all have a stake in. And I think that would really kind of create the right sort of synergy for the future projects that you're going to work on. And I think it is about that laughter piece. It is about enjoying working with each other. So I think if you maybe start with something that is a small project, lower stakes, you're probably likely to have more fun with it, and then kind of grow that relationship from that point on.
Thank you very much. Hills Road.
I'm going to go for being, picking up on that, build on success, but in terms of where you want to go forward with the team, just the question to, the key people, tell me what you think and be prepared to listen to them would be my top tip.
Okay, thank you very much. East Lancs.
One from me would be, I think if you put the learner at the centre of your strategy, and that everything we're doing is to achieve positive outcomes and destinations for our learners, and that's really driven and led from the top, that fosters and embeds collaboration across the piece with a common objective.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Lisa, I hope that answered your question. Dan Hughes is asking, what one question do you wish your counterpart colleagues, so people in other teams, would ask themselves that would make collaboration easier for you? Ooh. So how do you kind of, well, yeah, I guess that question speaks for itself. I'm just going to sort of leave that one open and see who wants to kind of step in. I'll repeat it again. So what one question do you wish your counterpart colleagues would ask themselves that would make collaboration easier for you? or make collaboration easier in an organization?
Thought from a pedagogical point of view.
Yeah, from the pedagogical point of view, actually, it's what Andrew said, really. It's what impact is this going to have on the students? So an example, a couple of weeks ago, we had a meeting where I was asked if we were wedded to a particular piece of technology, and actually the answer to that was yes, because of the massive impact it would have on the students if we changed. It's that point. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks. Any other questions that you'd ask? Andrew?
One from me to add to that would be, how can I make my colleagues' life easier today?
Right.
It's usually a nice place to start. But the answer is always just switch it on and off again.
Marvellous. What about
I think for me, like the why questions, well, why are you asking for this, or why don't you want to use this, and what is the reason, and well, how have you been using this, or what do you think this does, and have you actually tried this? Because I often get people asking for, show me how this works. I've heard about it and it's really good. And I'm like, have you actually just given it a go yourself and just tried? And I think sometimes, those how, what, whys, good questions.
Okay. Excellent. So we've only got a couple of minutes left. I'm going to finish with a question. This is a selfish question, and I apologize for that. But again, it's a freestyle, just whoever wants to put in. From my perspective, so I work for Jisc, and I'm interested in helping to spread kind of collaboration and cooperation across the organization. What would be most helpful for an organization like Jisc to do in this space to kind of help that to happen? This is unscripted, so you're completely improvising here. This is jazz, as it happens. Go on. Go on.
We talked a lot about collaboration within our organisation, but actually collaboration with other organisations is key.
Okay.
Seeing what other people do, learning from other people. We do that all the time. We don't only just do that with further education establishments, we also do that with industry to ensure that we're kind of replicating what industry need with regards to our digital strategy.
Okay.
Alongside that, we've a great example really of where Jisc has facilitated some fantastic collaboration across the Northwest FE sector. And we've had a few iterations of trying to get all the colleges together at an IT digital level to share ideas, collaborate in its true meaning. And some of them spluttered and started and fizzled out, and we've tried various ways of doing that. For the last couple of years, we've had a Northwest FE College Jisc mini conference that takes place twice a year, pretty informal, invitation only kind of thing, but you'll have the heads of IT, tech, digital, CIOs there, and the whole thing is about collaboration and sharing best practice. And I think it's a great example of how Jisc can kind of nudge us in the right direction, bring us together in the room, and get some real benefit from that.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
I'll just add that I think what Jisc do with the teaching and learning forums is really useful, and to continue to develop that, I guess, in the sense of tapping into the things that people are most concerned about in relation to transformation, and continuing to build an audience for that, I guess.
Okay, right, we'll do that. Definitely. So I think we'll draw ourselves to a close there. So Andrew, Sue, Nasli, Wendy, Jonathan, Tim, thank you very much for your time in preparing for this, but also putting yourselves on the line and putting yourself here. I wonder if we can give our thanks, please, to our panel.